Hello, welcome to Tay and Nin Talk. I'm Tay and I'm sitting here with Nin, and today we will be giving you our review of the new movie Avengers: Age of Ultron. Nin?
I'm here. I'm here.
Uh-huh. Alright, so we're gonna this is just gonna be a review of Avengers. We're gonna start it off spoiler free, and then we'll warn you when we're about to get into spoilers.
We'll give a spoiler alert.
Yeah, so if you haven't seen it, don't worry, we're gonna start off spoiler free. So here's our review. What do you got, Nin? First, should we start with positives and negatives, or what?
How about a very brief summary?
Okay.
Sequel to Avengers. I mean, everyone's pretty much seen that.
Yeah.
It's a little darker. There's a few more characters.
Yeah.
The big baddie, his name is Ultron.
Uh-huh.
He's this cool robot guy. That's all you pretty much need to know.
Basically, you come just based on the name alone.
Yeah. It's a movie that everyone can enjoy. It has like elements of every genre.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I looked around in the theater and I saw pretty much every different type of human being that you could be.
Every type of
yeah.
human being. Yeah. Alright, so let's see. Okay, me and Ed actually have different opinions on this one. So
Well, very slightly different.
I mean, it's a slight, I guess it's very slight, but okay. I'll start off. Why don't we start negative?
Now, just start with whatever you want to start with.
Alright, so this movie is a giant epic action movie, and it also has comedy elements. And it's trying to be a little darker than the last Avengers movie. And this is one of my main criticisms, is how it doesn't flow together perfectly. What can you chime in, and do you agree or disagree?
Well, the first Avengers, it was basically a comedy with action. Like, it's kind of similar to Star Wars, where the first one's just really lighthearted and a fun adventure and stuff.
Yeah.
And The Empire Strikes Back, it still has comedy and lighthearted stuff, but it's a little darker. There's some epic stuff.
Yeah.
And there's a darker tone.
But I'm talking about how I think in this movie the tone does not match itself throughout the entire movie. The pacing is a little off. It feels like it doesn't feel like the complete vision. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I think Joss Whedon has a director's cut that's going to be coming out. I do agree.
I hope it's true, because it seems like it might need a director's cut.
Yeah, the pacing was a little off. There were a few scenes that felt a little unnecessary.
Yeah, there was so much action, and then also some other scenes and characters felt a little underdeveloped. There's new characters. The new characters in this one are Ultron, and then there's two new superheroes that are Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
What do you think of Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch?
I liked them. I mean, the first introduction, it's better than most of the introductions. Like Black Widow and Iron Man 2. Yeah. She wasn't good, but then
Hawkeye and Avengers
she became a better
good
character over time.
Right.
So it's really hard to introduce a character in one movie and make them likable.
Yeah, I actually, by the end of the movie, I did like them both. I thought they were pretty good characters. The thing is, though, were they really necessary? I feel like they were only in the story just so they could be in the next movies later on. It didn't feel like the story required them.
It didn't require it, but I think it would be a little boring if there was no new characters.
Yeah, maybe.
You needed, and plus their powers are cool compared to the other Avengers.
Yeah.
They have interesting
Alright, when we
powers.
get into spoiler talk, I have something to mention, but another new character, Ultron. He's the new villain. What did you think of Ultron?
I thought Ultron was awesome.
Awesome?
Yeah.
So, just for comparison, would you say he's better than Loki?
Well, it's kind of hard to compare because Loki was in a few more movies.
Mm-hmm.
But I think
just from the first Avengers.
I liked Ultron more than Loki from Avengers 1.
Yeah, this is where our main core of our disagreement is because I was not a fan of Ultron. In fact, in the movie he's sort of based on Iron Man. Iron Man creates him, right? So he has a weird robotic sense of humor. He quips, he tells jokes, and I don't know, it felt weird to hear jokes coming out of a robot. They were well executed jokes, but it was like his character design was extremely epic and cool looking, and then his personality and voice didn't really fit the character.
Yeah, that's something you could give or take on that. I thought it was cool because it's not what you'd expect.
Right.
Marvel has a track record of making villains that you wouldn't expect.
Yeah. Well,
remember Iron Man 3?
Iron Man 3. Who was the villain in that? Oh yeah, the twist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but it's like you wouldn't expect it. It was interesting. It was new. It was funny, but it was like not totally what I wanted. I felt like throughout the movie he keeps changing his form, and he just becomes a little redundant. Like at the start of the movie, he's the same as at the end. Like he continues to do the exact same thing over and over, kind of. And that's another one of my criticisms of the movie overall is the villains are just Ultron and his robotic army. So the characters spend a lot of time fighting the robotic enemies, and it seems, I mean, there was a lot of shots of like Thor smashing a guy, Iron Man shooting a guy, and then Cap like decapitating a robot with his shield or throwing his shield. It seemed like the same thing was happening over and over again.
I disagree. I thought the action was very varied. The starting scene of the movie is an action scene that takes place in a forest, and they're taking out soldiers in like tanks.
I really
and
liked that scene. That was my favorite action.
And there's
scene.
another scene in like a moving vehicle type action scene, kind of like Raid 2. Not really though.
No, not like Raid 2.
Only in the fact that it's a vehicle fight.
Yeah.
And then there's another fight in the city between two heroes that was in the trailer. It's Iron Man versus Hulk. Mm-hmm. So I think there is a lot of varied action.
I honestly felt like the Hulkbuster fight was just there to have a huge fight.
Yeah, what's wrong with that? It's Avengers 2.
I know, but it didn't feel very cool.
That's the thing. You're
like,
thinking
I
it's
felt
supposed
like,
to be Dark Knight or something.
No, I felt like in the first Avengers, it was so fun because Hulk, he unloads his rage and he's just taking down a bunch of guys. But in this one, he was misused a little bit, I think. Like, they try to bring in new plot elements with him and Black Widow, and there's a love story kind of, and it didn't feel right to me.
I disagree. I think the characters' arcs are going farther, and you can't be the same character that you were in the last movie.
I know, but
the arcs like Black Widow has a new arc. Hawkeye has so much character development. He has a new arc.
I think
Hulk has a new arc.
Yeah.
So it keeps it interesting. You can't keep it the same.
They nailed Hawkeye in that they finally gave him some development, and I think he's an interesting character now. He's better than he was before. But
I didn't like him before.
I hated Hawkeye in Avengers.
I didn't hate him. I thought he was meh.
I thought he was lame.
But they actually made him cool.
Now he's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I felt like was in the first one, Hulk was a standout. Like, oh, Hulk, that was so fun, and you love every second of Hulk when he's on screen in Avengers 1. But this one, I was like, he was too. It was like brooding. It was like the Incredible Hulk movie.
Yeah, it was a little darker, like, because they were going for. The first movie was fun Hulk, like, that's Hulk at his best.
Like, it felt like he could control him in the first movie, and then now all of a sudden he can't control him again.
Well, that's because the plot, you know.
The plot?
Yeah, it wasn't just him.
Yeah, I guess, but.
And besides, the Hulk from the comics can't control himself. So they're probably trying to be closer to the comics, and Hulk is actually a menace.
Yeah, kind of.
He's a hero sometimes, but also a menace. So that's another aspect of Hulk that they nailed.
I thought Mark Ruffalo really, he nailed the acting.
Yeah.
That's the thing about this movie is I feel like every actor really nailed their part to the best of their ability, but then it was just like the direction felt too condensed. Like everything was condensed.
But it was also a really long movie.
It was 2 hours and 21 minutes.
There's kids in the theater.
I felt like it could have used 10 more minutes of dialogue, talking scenes. Because I think the best scene was the scene where they were at just a party at the Stark's house. That was the best scene, I thought.
Well, yeah, not everyone's going to think that.
Well, yeah, but they're all just sitting around talking, and chatting, and laughing. It was hilarious. And then there's a lot of controversy surrounding Ultron's intro, like how he doesn't have enough character development. I'm actually against that. I actually thought how he just shows up kind of, and it's not really fully explained his origin. I kind of liked that. He just popped up, and he was really scary in that scene. I thought that was cool. Mm-hmm. But then he turns into the comedy guy.
Yeah, he was menacing in that scene.
Yeah.
And then he shows his sense of humor later.
Yeah, I don't know. His sense of humor.
Hey, like Joker.
No, he's not. Yeah. But and then I felt like Ultron also never actually did any fighting. Like he flew around, he shot lasers, but like wouldn't it have been cool to see like Hulk versus Ultron at the end? They're like, we need to move Ultron away from that guy. Just Hulk, you got to go face off against him. And it would have been like a drag out, beat out brawl.
Yeah.
That would have been cool.
But I think they avoided that because he's all CGI and Hulk's all CGI, so they wanted to avoid that.
No, I mean the Iron Man suit's all CGI, and he fought against Hulk.
Yeah, well, they can't have two huge drag-on fights with CGI characters.
I would have taken out the fight against Iron Man if it was a fight against Ultron instead, because I know Hulk versus Iron Man. What's gonna happen in that fight? Nothing. Neither guy is gonna get injured or killed.
But if it was Hulk versus Ultron, we know Hulk's not gonna get killed.
Yeah, I know, but it just would feel like an enemy fighting a good guy instead of I'm tired of heroes fighting each other.
That's Hulk's arc because he kind of became a bad guy because he's thinking about quitting the Avengers and like running off with Black Widow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I don't know.
It made sense in the story.
What do you think about like the technical? Like, it seemed like there was a lot of CGI effects in this one. Like,
I think it's like the most CGI of any Marvel movie.
Yeah, what made Captain America: Winter Soldier great was it felt like the action scenes were just close combat, hand-to-hand scenes, not minimal CGI involved. This one, like, the prime example, even though I liked the first action scene, when Cap was on his motorcycle driving around, he spins around and then like does some extreme crazy maneuvers, and you can tell it's all CGI. So I just felt like they missed out on having a lot of the realistic hit.
It's the same as the first Avengers.
No, but there's something about the first one. It's the lighter tone and like the screen. There's a lot of white out areas and it just kind of blends together in this one. Like, especially with the ending action scene, that was kind of the worst part about it.
But Avengers 1 was really confined to New York, and I think
that's kind of what made it great.
The location got a little old.
Oh, but I mean,
in this movie, they go from a jungle to like.
But the final 35 minutes,
a bunch of different locations.
The final 35 minutes all take place in an even more generic city. Like, there's no color in it. It's all white rocks.
Yeah, but the tone is darker, and some things happen that are darker. Like, you couldn't have some things that happened in Avengers 2 happen in 1. The tone of the color wouldn't fit.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like it didn't fully know what it wanted to be. Like, Avengers 1 and Guardians of the Galaxy and Cap 2, they all 100% of the time felt just like what they were. This one felt like it was wavering in between two different things.
Well, I think it took the best of both worlds from Cap 2 and Avengers. It took what worked from both. Because I also noticed Avengers 1 didn't have very many, like, just one-on-one talking scenes. Cap 2 had those in abundance.
That's true.
And Avengers 2 had a few of those, like with Cap and Hulk.
I liked
the dinner scene.
Yeah.
Not dinner scene, party scene.
Yeah, the party scene. I liked when they were chopping wood, too.
The chopping wood scene.
That was a good one.
Cap and Iron Man.
Yeah.
So I think it took the best of both worlds, in my opinion.
Yeah, I felt like it was the best of both worlds, but also it mixed it up. Like, you know how I love apple juice and I love Coke, but they're not good together. That's kind of how I felt like it was, but...
Yeah, well, I mean, you can't... This movie was such a, like, grab bag of everything. You can't make it flow together perfectly.
Maybe I also felt like they were trying to pander to the later movies. Like, they spend too much time setting up other things that were going to happen in the future. Like, Thor randomly leaves to do something to set up his future movie. And
that's not a flaw. I mean, that happens in every series.
Yeah, but just for some reason it just felt like out of place. Like, almost as if the director didn't want that scene to be in there, but he just kind of had to throw it in.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm with you there. I didn't like the Thor scene.
Mm-hmm.
But I did like the dream sequence, Black Widow's dream sequence. It had really good directing of the, like, cinematography.
Yeah.
Like the dancing, and it was really surreal and dreamlike. I didn't expect it from the first Avengers. It was actually a kind of, like, filmy, you know?
It was trying to be filmy, but I don't know. Okay, yeah. Let's move on. Should we rate it and then get on to spoilers?
Sure.
So, what would you give it as a rating?
I gave it an 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10, and would you say it's better than the first Avengers?
I can't say better. I mean, I'd say it's more rewatchable.
Wow. Okay, I totally disagree there. Avengers 1 is infinitely rewatchable.
No.
This one would be kind of a chore after like the third time. I think.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I guess I can't say that because I've only seen it once.
Right.
But I just think it's deeper. Like Avengers 1 is so simple.
I think it was superficially deep though.
It's just like Star Wars 1 and 2. Like
this is another criticism I had about Ultron though. He's like an AI, and you think about an AI, and he's the bad guy. Think in your mind what his motivation is. Oh, yep, you're right.
But he's not an AI. He's like a real person.
He's an AI.
Yeah, but he's basically
Remember
a real
that their
person.
goal was to create an artificial intelligence, and they did with Ultron.
Yeah.
So whatever.
You can't think of it like a robot.
Ratings. We'll move on to spoilers. All right,
I give it an 8. What do you give it?
I give it 7.5.
Okay.
So I thought it was pretty good.
Okay, spoilers.
Spoilers. We're gonna move on to spoilers right now. Okay, so here's what I didn't like about Ultron. Okay, his main plan is he becomes a sentient AI, and then of course, his plan is to destroy all humans on Earth. It's such a generic plan. Every single AI
has generic. That's what's great about it.
Every AI has the same plan.
I don't want a Joker plan. I want a Loki plan.
It's
like
the
same
plan?
thing as the
Loki
first
was
movie.
interesting.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah, he was.
Loki was sucky in Avengers.
How?
That's like my least favorite part of that movie.
Loki wasn't sucking it. Loki has charisma.
The best part was when Hulk smashed him 5 times
I know,
into the ground.
that was one of the best moments.
Because everyone thought he was
There was
such
no
a
moment like that in
stupid
this
character.
one. No. It's because he was so arrogant.
His actor is likable, but the character isn't good.
The character has charisma.
I know, that's not a good villain.
I think he's a good villain. You don't have to be menacing to be a good villain.
I know. Ultron proved that.
No, I don't think. And I felt like
He was both menacing
I felt like
and fun.
Ultron being CG as well. That took away a little bit.
Yeah, but you still had the really good performance by James Spader.
The voice performance. Yeah, it was
No,
good.
it was not just voice.
Yeah, it was.
No, mocap.
He used mocap?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It was
I
like
don't know.
Industrial Lights and Magic had like a new technique for doing it. They had like
yeah, I guess
lights up
I
there.
heard about that. Yeah, I don't know.
his
What did you
performance
think
was great.
about Andy Serkis as Claw? See, that's another scene that I felt like was just shoved in just to set up the future movies.
No, I think you're just saying that because it's Andy Serkis.
Why?
Because you think, oh, it's Andy Serkis, he must have a big role. But he's just a really small, minor character.
So
Just
you
like
don't-
Baron
You don't
Mordo.
think he's gonna come back? It was Baron Strucker.
Baron Strucker, yeah.
But they were doing a total setup for Wakanda and the vibranium for
Yeah.
Black Panther.
Yeah, that's a good setup. That's a good setup. What's
Yeah,
wrong with it?
I don't know. I just felt like I wish it was a better stand by itself movie. Kind of like Cap. It just standed totally by itself.
No, it didn't.
Yeah, it did.
It set up the shield being destroyed.
That was the plot of the movie. It didn't set it up. Well, anyhow, what about how Quicksilver dies? That was a kind of a criticism
Yeah, I
for
gotta
me.
admit, I didn't like that.
They introduced the character. I felt like the only reason they put those two guys in is so they could kill somebody that wasn't one of the main people.
It kind of makes sense, though, and it's actually a death that kind of affects the audience because I liked him and I didn't want him to die. Then he
Mhm.
dies, and I was like, oh, no, he was cool.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I was just starting to like him. Why'd you kill him?
Yeah.
That was my feeling. It wasn't like, oh no, he died. Oh no, I'm so
But then
sad.
it serves the purpose to make, like, Scarlet Witch her own character.
Yeah, but I thought she was the weaker character than Quicksilver.
Her powers are cooler, though.
You think? Yeah, maybe. I don't
She
know.
has, like, mind
Quicksilver was
control.
pretty cool.
He's cool, but he's a little OP.
Yeah, and I think maybe, I don't know if this is true, but maybe they killed him just because there's already a Quicksilver in X-Men, you know?
Yeah.
So maybe that's why they did it. But I felt like they kind of just introduced him just so they could kill him. Just so they couldn't kill one of the other ones. And then one of the things that disappointed me was that they didn't set it up for Planet Hulk, because I thought it was perfect. At the end, Hulk was in the plane, and he could have, like, flew up into space to try and, like, leave the Earth, because he thought he couldn't be on Earth anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And then they could have got him to go take him to Planet Hulk. But then they said, oh, he splashed down in the ocean. But, no, it's cool. What about, like, let's see, what the spoilers. What about Ultron's plan to destroy the Earth by lifting up the giant meteor? And then, like, dropping it on the Earth? That seems...
Yeah, you and me, we were both reminded of Superman Returns.
Yeah, it reminded me of Superman Returns in a bad way. Just like a giant piece of rock. And I was a little
No, it
bit...
wasn't a bad way.
For
for
you,
me.
it was a good way. For me, it was a bad way.
I mean, it wasn't like an homage. It was just similar.
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities too. Like I remember there's a scene with a train where they stop the train. That was a total ripoff of Spider-Man 2. Remember when Spider-Man stops the train and that's like the huge set piece? And this one, it's like the same thing, but not as cool.
Oh, yeah. But I just realized we didn't talk at all about Vision.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about Vision during the
He
non.
was one of the coolest.
Oh
parts
yeah,
in the movie.
okay, so yeah, Ultron creates Vision in this one, and he was
So
definitely one of
sick.
my favorite characters. He's like he had an interesting personality too. Like he was actually performed by Paul Bettany,
Yeah.
and so it was really cool. He had like Ultron was one extreme, and then he was
Yeah.
like a mix of in the movie. He's made like a mix between Ultron or whatever, and so that was really cool. And I like the look of him.
His look was like a combination of like Dr. Manhattan
Yeah.
and Superman from Man of Steel because of the cape.
Yeah, that's true.
He had a really cool visual look. I loved his look.
Yeah.
It was so cool.
It was cool, and I felt like he could develop into one of a really good character.
Yeah, he could be a great character.
And then at the end, they set it up like in the comics, Vision and Wanda fall in love. So
Wanda?
Yeah.
Oh, Scarlet Witch.
Scarlet Witch. Yeah. I don't know.
Weird.
It seems a little weird. He's way too old for her in that universe.
In real life too, right?
Yeah. Well, Paul Bettany's probably like 35, and she's like 20 something.
That's not that weird.
I guess. And technically, he's a robot, so
Yeah.
he's like an organic robot.
Yeah.
It was interesting, but
Yeah, his character was awesome.
Yeah.
And he also fought Ultron at the end.
Mm-hmm.
That was cool.
Oh yeah, I liked when he destroyed Ultron.
Yeah, that was basically the only fight that Ultron got into.
Yeah, I know. That's why it was so disappointing. I mean, Ultron was huge. He was made of vibranium. He was 10 feet tall, and he never fights anybody. Only his robots. It's like, come on.
Oh yeah, but you keep saying the robots were bad, but who else are they gonna fight?
I know. That's what I was thinking in my mind. Well, what's the counter to that? Well, I think wouldn't it be cool if they fought a different team of villains? Like there was a bunch of other villains that they fought. That would be cool. Like, what if it was like Ultron, Doctor Doom, and like somebody else? They all teamed up.
Those are both really big villains. They could not.
No, that's what I mean. But in the comics, they do that all the time. Like big villains team up with each other.
Hardly ever.
Well, okay, fine. How about like the Masters of Evil and Ultron at the head or something?
Yeah, that'd be cool because they already introduced Baron Strucker.
Yeah, like what if there was a team of villains? Like I felt like it was a mistake to make him fight an army again.
They could bring Red Skull back, and then he could team up with Baron Strucker.
No, Baron Strucker's dead. Ultron killed him. Remember?
They could probably find some way to get him
back. Yeah, but what if Red Skull came back?
It bounced off his Satan Claw.
Yeah, that would have been cool if Red Skull and Ultron teamed up. That would have been sick. That would have upped the ante to 2 supervillains.
Yeah.
Well,
the next one is going to be Infinity War. That's just Thanos, right?
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, you got Cap 3, which will be basically Avengers 3.
Not really.
Because it's going to have Iron Man in it, and Captain America, and Spider-Man, and Black Panther, and Black Widow, and everybody else.
I guess there's no villain there fighting each other.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's
weird. I wonder if there will be a villain. Well, they probably have to be friends again by the time Infinity War comes around.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think they're going to wrap that entire storyline up in one movie? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe. Can you think of any really spoiler things that we should talk about? I don't know. I think we kind of...
Oh, the spoiler about Hawkeye.
Oh, yeah. Hawkeye. Oh, yeah. That was a cool thing where they developed his character, that he has a family and, like, some kids and stuff.
Yeah, that was so good.
I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, he has a family.
It was kind of like John Wick when he went back to the house.
Wait.
Or was that different? That was Equalizer.
Oh, Equalizer.
He went to that, like, safe house.
I don't remember
That's kind of what it reminded me of, because they're both military agents, and then they go to, like, a safe house.
I was disappointed by the fact that there was barely any Nick Fury in this one.
Yeah.
Nick Fury is one of like the funniest characters.
Trying to reduce characters, so they had to cut someone.
Yeah. Nick Fury is one of my favorites. I wish he was in it more.
Yeah.
He was so awesome in Cap 2. So where would you say this ranks in Marvel movies as a whole?
Oh yeah. Let's see. The best is, in my opinion, is Cap 2, maybe Avengers. They're really close.
Yeah.
And then I would say Avengers 2 is next.
I'd say Avengers is the best, then Cap 2, then Guardians of the Galaxy, then Iron Man 1, and then Avengers 2.
I haven't seen Iron Man in a long time.
It's a good one.
Iron Man might be better.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I think Iron Man's better than Guardians, though.
Oh, well, then, I mean, it's a given. But it's, like, Guardians, like, Guardians is like it did it was basically a comedy movie, you know. It just nailed exactly what it was trying to do.
Yeah, it wasn't dark at all.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I just maybe it's like foolish to assume that Marvel movies should be lighthearted.
Yeah.
But I just feel like it works so well. Why mess it up? But you know.
I don't know. Why would they? They're not gonna get like $1 billion for this movie.
Oh yeah, I mean they're gonna make the money, but just for the artistic of it, the artistic feeling.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter if they. I mean, it's like the difference of a 7.5 and 8. It doesn't matter.
And it's not like they haven't had any misses. I mean, Thor 2 is awful.
No big misses.
Except Thor 2. That was terrible.
I wouldn't say that's a miss. It's a meh.
A meh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a meh. Well, I mean, if you're making a big Marvel movie, it should be pretty good.
It's watchable.
Oof. I wouldn't want to watch it again.
Jane is better.
That was funny. Oh, and when they were all lifting the hammer.
Oh yeah.
That was cool. They were trying to lift the hammer, and then Vision lifts the hammer. That was fresh. Yeah, that was what made him like that. When he did that, I was like, ooh.
Yeah, the entire theater gasped.
Yeah, they're like.
That was such a good moment because no one expected it.
Yeah, I literally went ooh when he lifted it. That was cool. Oh man. Well, should we wrap it up? I guess that's our review. Mm-hmm. Tay gives it a 7.5 and then gives it an 8.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Well,
huh?
I'd give it an 8, like if I was just doing ones.
We'll do it in 0.5 increments.
Well, I give it like a IMDb like 7.8.
Okay. Yeah.
But I round up to 8.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I rounded down to 7 on IMDb.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. All right. Well, that's our rating. Take care or leave it. See you later. Bye.
Bye.